the power of expectation. And so kids, they're perceptive to our expectations. They will notice, and I think that this applies to positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
So kids will notice, like, I feel like, and this is the part like I've been guilty of with the double standard,
Yeah.
is if I don't expect enough out of them, they notice that, and they will. What's the opposite? I mean, like we talk about rise to the occasion. They'll lower to the occasion.
Yeah.
They'll sink to the occasion.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, okay, I can. I remember, and I'm sure this fits in somehow, but this is like an example of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
We had this kid. Every church has that one bad kid, right?
Yeah.
And so his name is, no, I'm just kidding. But we had this kid, he actually, unfortunately, does not come here anymore.
Yeah.
But he was our one bad kid.
Mm-hmm.
He was the, Calvin and Hobbes, he was the Calvin,
Oh, boy.
And so he was that kid. And I remember Pastor telling me one time, and I think I talked about this before, but he is just always getting yelled at and getting disciplined or whatever. He's because he's always bad.
Yeah.
He's hyperactive, whatever. And so when you do that, when any authority figure does that, I mean, it doesn't really matter even if it's like, okay, it's not my mom, it's pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe make a little difference because of the status. But he said they're so used to it that it just kind of goes in one ear, out the other.
It's absolutely crazy. In preparing for this, I was thinking about a statistic. I did a study on the power of words. And how significant words can be.
Oh, wow.
I talk about the study that comes to my mind is for in a dysfunctional family, for every positive word that kid hears, they hear 85 words of negativity, and it talks about that you need to hear 2 to 1 to wipe out the dysfunction. For every words. And I mean, think about the Bible scripture says in Proverbs, death and life are in the power of the tongue.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So
that's so true.
So yeah, I mean, we always want to sometimes, especially I find myself sometimes can be a little tough and stern at times, but kids, they need that love and that care, and they sometimes I've seen kids acting out because they want attention.
That's true. I think we see that probably on a weekly basis every Sunday. Because we'll get kids that never have been here before. They don't, quote unquote, know how to act. And then we have the kids, like we say, we have a higher expectation, like what you're supposed to do. And I think that sometimes they need the attention, and it's hard because it's hard to balance that out sometimes, and navigate that. But but I have on the second point there is kind of what you talk about. When we communicate our belief or our doubt in kids, they meet that expectation. Whatever that expectation is, they meet that. And so when we communicate, and a lot of it, what is it, 80% is nonverbal, so a lot of our communication is not necessarily overt. It's not necessarily that we are, saying, I believe you can do it, but our actions say it.
Yeah.
And so when we I was thinking about this actually in altar service in our last Sunday school. I was thinking of that is when there's certain kids that they tend to pray. They're our church kids, and they tend to pray pretty good every time. And so I thought about that, and I thought about, can we raise our expectation and what the kids feel our expectation is? Because I see some of them just staring off in the distance, and I know this happens in every Sunday school, but could we get to a place where it was so powerful that nobody was staring?
I think we could, because I mean, we know God's the same all the time.
Yeah.
And let's even look at children's church for August services.
Yes.
And the power,
It's powerful.
I mean, those are some powerful moves of God that we've had, but I think it's because their expectations. This is August services.
Shift.
We're gonna get an altar, and we're gonna somebody's gonna have a illustration, and we're gonna have a move of God, and there's that expectation and that anticipation there.
Yes.
Where sometimes unfortunately, we can get into the rut and routine. Okay, this is Sunday school. We're gonna do our 6-minute prayer.
Go through the motions.
And then, man, hurry! We gotta hurry because pastor's gonna hurry up and finish, and we won't get snack this week.
Yeah, yeah. And we have been trying to incorporate snack into the theme and even the Bible story a little bit more, so we get it earlier. But yeah, because we know that many kids, that's what they're coming for. I mean, not in our Sunday school, but.
No, are you kidding me? I remember when I got transitioned out of Sunday school, and it was like the first couple weeks. I'm like, my stomach. Oh man, I was so hungry. I was like, man, can I just go back? Man, I'm hungry. I want snack again.
That's funny.
And then even there's been points when I went back into teaching for Sunday school, and then I took a little break. And I was like, man, I want to go back to teaching Sunday school. I'm hungry now.
That's funny. Get used to it.
Yeah, you get used to that little snack time break.
Yeah, well, it's funny because downstairs they have the younger kids. We do 5 through 11 up here, but downstairs they have 2 different classes. But one of them, I don't know, the other one probably does food too. But the one's out and kind of in the open, and they're like prepping. They're cutting up bananas and just they got all these little plates and stuff. I'm like, man, what do you guys got going on here?
I know my brother's got one in that age group, and forget him eating lunch ever.
Yeah, and they don't skip snack.
No, snack is that's the snack, the main thing.
That's the anchor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's good though what you said. Coming back to the altar service, I think that maybe what we should focus on, this is the backstage part, I guess, of our Sunday school and this podcast, is maybe what we can do is put more of a focus on, like on the altar service before it's at altar service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like saying, hey, coming up, maybe there's different ways that we can do that. Like we're doing offering and just like kind of point at it, maybe subtly or something. Yeah. That might be kind of cool. I remember taking a parenting class a long time ago, and one of the things they talked about, I think, is really good, and it could be a podcast of its own. But they talked about talking to your kids about behavioral issues or whatever in times of non-conflict.
Yeah.
So they say, like when there's conflict, you're I don't know, yelling or you're getting onto them, but in times of non-conflict, when you're getting along, you're playing catch, whatever, and like, hey, this is how we need to act. Okay, so I brought all that up to say this is maybe before it's altar time, because when we're doing the lesson even, and often what we do in our Sunday school is we'll have somebody teaches the lesson and they pass it off to the person that does the altar invitation. It's not they're just kind of what we're doing is including people, and so I know that sometimes the same person would do both. But anyway. So during that lesson and during that altar call, we do focus on that. So if we counted that as a conflict time, instead try to, in the non-conflict, before altar ever comes around, we're pointing at it.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a way, on a micro level, I guess, because like you said, in our August event, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot going on, and so everybody's expectation is raised. But maybe we can do that in a micro sense, and raise the expectation.